Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. That is a quote by George Bernard Shaw. What more would be left to life if we removed all of our experiences? The good, the bad, the ugly, all have a profound effect they all have a profound effect on the way we live, the way we think, trust, behave, and succeed. Our experiences are more than a mere collection of moments. They're exactly what paves our path towards self-awareness. Today, we welcome the music and the mind of Nashville, LA country pop singer songwriter Christy Huff to our afternoon cocktail stage to discuss experience's role in our ever evolving stories. I'm Amanda Ashley, and this is episode 65 Experience. Welcome to Afternoon Cocktail.
Hey.
Introducing to you the beautiful Miss Christy Huff. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good. So, are you going to kick us off with a song?
Yes, I'm going to kick you guys off with one of my favorite songs I've released this year. This song is called Halfway Fell.
Sweet.
I go out dancing. I see my friends more than I used to know what happened. And now I don't know kind of habit. Getting drunk on all these half-empty glasses. I'm waking up. I'm overhating you. I'm overthinking too much. If I could see it now, well, you know. I don't wish you, but I don't wish you well. Wasn't heaven, no. Only halfway fell. I won't take it back. I don't miss and tell. Wasn't good, wasn't right, but it wasn't hell. No, it wasn't hell. Wasn't good, wasn't right, but you said you don't regret it. Every night spent next to you, oh, I'd forget it. If I could go back, would I walk right past you? No kiss, no love, no issues, I'd forget it. If I could, I don't wish you, but I don't wish you well. Wasn't heaven, no. Only halfway fell. I won't take it back. I don't miss and tell. Wasn't good, wasn't right, but it wasn't. The last thing that's left to say is nothing less. Halfway. Wasn't good, wasn't right, but it wasn't the worst thing I could have done. It hurts, but it happens sometimes. It's so good, it's so right. Oh, I don't wish you bad. I don't wish you well. Wasn't heaven, no. I only halfway fell. I won't take it back. I don't miss and tell. Wasn't good, wasn't right, but it wasn't hell. No, it wasn't hell. Wasn't good, wasn't right, no. I don't wish you back. Wasn't good, wasn't right, but it wasn't hell.
Beautiful. I love that one. Yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like such a fangirl. I've been like jamming out to your music for like the past few days, and writing your questions. Like, I'm like, as I'm writing these questions today, I'm like just jamming out to you. Your voice is incredible, Christy. And
Thank
I love your lyrics. You're really like lovish. I really enjoy, yeah, just like very catchy and fun to listen to.
thank
So where are you right now? Can you tell our audience? Like, you're
you.
originally from Arizona, but
Yes.
you kind of bounce back and forth to Nashville and LA.
Yes, and right now I am in Los Angeles. I don't think I'd be outside. It might be too cold to be outside in Nashville right now. But yeah, I've been quarantined in LA since March, since everything kind of went down.
And you were in Nashville before quarantine.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And then came back here and I was supposed to go out to Nashville a couple weeks ago, but then, numbers keep on spiking and I'm just like, it's probably just best to stay put for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so crazy, all of this.
I know.
Um, yeah, enjoy the outdoors because right back here in Rochester, we're freezing our butts off.
Oh,
So,
I can only imagine. I know. I'm like here. It's like 75 degrees all year round.
uh,
So not
yeah,
complaining.
totally hate you right now. No, so tell us, tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings. So, when did you start performing and writing your music, playing
Yeah,
guitar? Do you play any other instruments?
I just play guitar, which, I started playing piano on and off since I was probably like 7. And it's my biggest regret in life is like not sticking with piano when I was younger. Cause then I feel like now I would like know everything, but so that's my biggest regret in life. But um, I've been singing my whole life. I really, I loved musical theater growing up and started singing like Annie, like and Evita, and I loved like Disney. So just like singing was my first love, and then I started playing guitar when I was like 15, and I wanted to learn how to play guitar because I wanted to be able to accompany myself in the songs that I sang. And then, it wasn't until my senior year of high school when I started writing my own songs. I had a vocal teacher who she really instilled in me, like she told me, if you want to be in the country music business, you really have to write your own songs. And that really stuck with me. So then I started writing songs my senior year of high school and haven't stopped.
Yeah, it's amazing. Does anybody else in your family or in your history, like family history, does anybody play music like you?
Yeah, I have a grandpa who, he played in a band growing up, like the trumpet and stuff. And my sister, I have an older sister who she plays guitar and sings as well. And my little sister sings, but I guess I was the one who took it. I was like, this is what I'm doing. This is this is my calling in life. So, but yeah, definitely music, definitely like runs in my family.
Yeah. So when did you move to Nashville?
So I went to Nashville when I was I don't know, like 18 to start recording. I met a producer. So I was started recording songs my senior year of high school in Arizona, and my producer in Arizona was like, you need to come out to the Kauai Songwriting Festival this summer because you'll get to meet a lot of different people. So I went out there kind of as like a graduation present, went out to Hawaii, and I met my producer. That was the reason why like I went back to Nashville. I recorded 2 albums with him, and he was great. Like I love him. It was like such a great experience. My first time really in a studio producing songs. And then I decided to move to LA shortly after. I wanted to be like when I was in Nashville. This was like 7 years ago when I was first out there.
Okay.
It was very different than it is now. Like I it was mainly country and people wanting to. I feel like I was another blonde young country singer wannabe Taylor Swift era, and I
Gotcha.
didn't
Yeah.
really stand out. So I decided to come to LA, and but then I've been going back to LA and Nashville for like the last 3 years, been going, you know, splitting my time. So yeah, because Nashville's changed a lot and LA's changed a lot, but I feel like LA has really shaped me um, in the country artist that I am. So
Yeah. Who are your influences? Like, who did you grow up listening to?
Yes, I mean, I grew up listening to like Michelle Branch,
Oh, I
Carrie
love Michelle
Underwood.
Branch.
I know I love
Yeah,
her so much. I know
she's
like Carrie
amazing.
Underwood. I know, and I listened. What I love about Michelle Branch, it's like she has so many like country sounds to her. Like in
The
today's
Wreckers.
yeah,
Have you ever?
the records, exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think in today's day and age, like even her solo stuff would be considered country, because it's just like has I don't know. I feel like pop nowadays is like super almost like EDM and like pop in the old days is today's country, so it's kind of funny. And then
yeah.
yeah, like I don't know, Miranda Lambert. I've always loved like strong like songwriting in women was always my
Sure.
inspiration.
Yeah, me too. I definitely hear the Carrie Underwood. I love that you brought up Michelle Branch because
I
I
love
I felt like she really influenced me as a songwriter. And like when I was younger and she first came out, I was like, wow, like so taken by her. And the
yeah,
Wreckers, that album was so kick-ass. I
it's
listened
so
to it
good.
like nonstop. The lyrics are incredible. The harmony is like everything about it. And then like, what the heck happened to her? She just like disappeared after that.
Well, I learned in a podcast that it's because she was signed to a record deal and they kept on wanting her to like produce the same music, and she would bring like albums to them and they'd be like, nah, this no, we're not gonna promote this, we're not gonna do this. So she was like stuck in a deal, which I'm like, that is so sad. Like we missed
It
out on like
sucks.
some
Yeah.
amazing music and years for her. So yeah, it sucks.
Do you feel like that? I mean, do you feel like that's maybe changed in the industry? Because I mean, for all the EDM, like real like crappy pop that we
Yeah.
have on our radios, I think that there's also some thoughtful music like Ed Sheeran, coming out. Like even the Biebs has some like
Oh yeah. His most
feels.
recent song, I'm like, it's so good. It's
I
really
love
sad.
his lyrics. Yeah, like I love Bieber. So like
Yeah.
I think like yeah, there is some thoughtful music out there. Adele, like I could think of
Uh-huh.
artists, but then you have that whole other side to it that's just terrible.
Like
But
in
what do you
love.
think? You think it's changed like in some ways? Like do you feel like you have more of an accepting atmosphere to walk in back into Nashville now than you did 8 years ago?
I think so. I think especially too, with the streaming outlet nowadays, it's like we're not all just quote unquote forced by the radio to listen to the same songs that we don't even know what else is out there. Like back in the day, you don't even know where else to look because you would just listen to what was played on the radio or what CDs you would buy at Target. And nowadays it's like with the streaming services, you can discover so many different types of music. And I think too,
Hmm.
like even like, I've had meetings with like, you know, managers and labels in the past and stuff, and they always like to make the listener seem like I don't know, like the listener can't handle the deep songs. They want something that's like
Catchy.
catchy and doesn't really mean anything. But I don't think that's true. I think that that is a lie that like the music industry has, been telling for years. And, everybody, even my friends who aren't in the music industry, they connect to emotional lyrics and songs more than I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always a time and a place for like fun bops, but I think, everybody relates more to the meaningful lyrics and music. And with streaming, I think that to answer your question, yeah, I think like nowadays we can put out what we want rather than what the industry or people think that people want because we're able to release it on our own. I think that model of like finding a manager and a label and all that kind of stuff, if like now we are able to be put into a position where we do it ourselves, and then if the right people come along, they'll want to hop on what we're doing already, not to try and change us because we've made a name for ourselves on our own. So I
Yeah.
really I think that right now it's, I mean, of course, like with COVID and all that kind of stuff, but I think right now it's like the best time to be an independent artist.
I agree with that 100%, because you think about it like with a platform like this, you have more of an opportunity to really express who you are as a human being beyond just being an artist or another number, another person like, that. is in country music, like you said, like another Taylor Swift, which you're
Yeah,
not at all, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, you know, now you have an opportunity to like really talk about your songs and to like have feel like, you know, be in your environment that you're in now, you know, no matter what the circumstances, you know, and to just be real with people. I think that's powerful, you know, and I think that in a lot of ways like brings so much more depth to somebody as an
yeah,
artist, you know.
yeah. Well, I think people want to see who an artist really is nowadays, so
Mhm.
that's nice.
Well, thank God. Why did it
Yeah,
take so long for that? Why did it take a pandemic, you
I
know,
know,
for that to happen? It's ridiculous.
right?
So, so you've had the opportunity to open up for some really big names like Jason Aldean, Billy Currington, Kit Moore, Toby Keith, BB Rexa. I mean, girl, good for you. Congrats. Which of
Thank
your
you.
performance experiences, I mean, do you recall any of those experiences as like your fondest?
Oh, definitely. Like all of those experiences have been the highlights. I mean, of my career. Like the first person in that lineup that I was able to open up for was Toby Keith, and I'm just so grateful that I've gotten to have the opportunity to play a number of those shows. And I mean, yeah, some of my fondest memories of like just my life are playing those shows. And one, when I opened up for Jason Aldean, I toured with my band across the country to go to Wisconsin to play that show. And we played like 26 shows in like 30 days or something. And that was, I think, like, I look back at that and I'm like, I was so lucky. Like, we don't know when shows are gonna even happen again. And
Yeah.
I just look back at that whole experience and I'm just so like, I think this time has really just like made me so grateful. Because you know how it is. Like like we're both musicians. Like I feel like we live day to day where it's like it's hard to like it's hard to be happy in the moment of where we've been because we're always like, no, okay, I need to keep on going. I need to play. What's the next show I'm going to play? What's the next song I'm going to
Yeah.
release? What's this? But this time has really like given me the opportunity to look back at, the opportunities I have had. And it just makes me so like, so grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just, all of those opportunities were such a great experience.
Yeah, I think being an artist really is such a beautiful thing. You know, when you get to share your art with people, and then to have like huge experiences. Like I've never experienced anything to like your level as a musician, but you know, like even just to perform, you know, like to,
Yeah.
you know, and then to be performing probably with some of your idols. Like how
Yeah.
many people could say that? You know, count
Yeah.
your blessings where it's at for sure. And I mean, we'll
Yeah.
be back to normal someday, you know,
Someday. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. Someday
Hopefully.
hopefully soon. Yeah. Did you experience any like head-on like encounters with either of those, like any of those people? Like, did you get to meet Jason Aldean and have a conversation
Yeah.
with him?
I got to meet them, but it was more of like, because I
Passing.
played earlier in the day and it was more like, hey, and they're like, hey. And I wasn't able to have like any deep conversations, but just to be there with them, and able to like take a picture with them and then,
Yeah.
played the stage that they played, it was just an amazing experience. And, like the whole day, it's like, you're at a big festival going back, like you're able to go backstage, hang out. We talked to like their band members more than like Jason Aldean because they were hanging out the whole day with us, so it's more
Yeah.
like talking to like the other band members and things like that. But yeah, just to like kind of be there was a dream come true, and like I'm like, that's great. I'm getting a picture with you and I got to open for you. So I'm happy.
Who were you like geeking out the most over opening for?
Oh, I think like I love Kit Moore. Um,
Yeah.
so that was really fun. And we had a little bit more of like a conversation. So that meant a lot to me. Like he's just like really good, like with his fans. And yeah, like both, like that show was really fun. I got it. We got to play 2 nights with him in Fresno and then in Norco. And yeah, that was a blast.
So cool. So cool. So I mean, yeah, isn't it funny like going back to what you were saying before about just going back to lyrics, you know, like I'm totally drawn to your lyrics. My favorite part of doing this show is like hunting brilliant, talented people like you. And then actually having you guys accept my invite is like another incredible thing. But yeah,
Thanks for
no,
asking me. I'm like so
oh,
excited to be here.
totally. No, it's really fun, you know, because like I'm listening to your lyrics and thinking about, man, I wonder like what her writing process is like, you know, and just like you're very personable, like and your lyrics are heartfelt, I think, you know, and I'm very drawn to that. It always amazes me that there are people that aren't, you know, like going back to like the type of pop music that you were saying, like the
Yeah,
industry standards like expects like the listeners to
yeah,
be dumb, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. But I'm like, how do people like how are there actual people that don't tune into this? You know, it's
Yeah,
crazy. How do you feel like your music's evolved over the years?
yeah. I think just with like life experience and yeah, just with age. Like I look at back at the songs that I wrote when I was like 18, and I wrote those songs from a place like of dreaming about what I want. Like I didn't experience love when I was 18. Like I didn't really know, but I was writing about what I thought love was like and what I thought these different experiences were. And I
Yeah,
think, I listen to those songs and, I like a lot of those songs, but it's very naive in a lot of ways. And then, I think just like over time, we go through life, we experience heartache, we experience um, amazing times that we didn't even know possible. And I think that just with time and with life and living, and also just like practice, right? Like my first song compared to my most recent song that I wrote, it's a lot different just because I know how I've written enough songs that like I know a little bit more, I guess, when it comes to songwriting. But yeah, I think that just life experience and then just like practice too, like yeah.
sure. And the more shows you do, like the better you
Yes.
get, you know, every show,
Exactly.
show by show, performance
Yeah.
by performance, you get stronger. Yeah, it's
The
cool.
voice gets stronger. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, it was funny. Like, I had a live stream show last night with a band, and I don't say it's my band because my band is we're all dispersed right now. So, but I love these guys who I played with. But I was like, man, I forgot what it was like. Like, I mean, before all of this, I was singing, a couple shows a week and having rehearsals with my band, and that strengthens like your voice so much, And I was like, man,
Yeah.
I forgot what it was like. I'm a little hoarse
Yeah.
today.
I know it's funny. Like you almost like lose your stamina. I always think of like vocals, like running a marathon. You know, like I always tell. I actually like teach on the side. You know, and I say to my vocal students, I'm like, you know, it's working your muscle. You know, if you just
Yeah,
go to run a marathon tomorrow, you're going to be sore. You know,
yeah,
but also if you're out of practice, you're going to lose your breath a lot easier too. You know, you got to
yeah,
like
yeah,
regain that stamina. So
yeah. It's
yeah.
so true. It's a muscle. Yeah, you gotta strengthen it.
Yeah, definitely. And the more you work it, the easier that I mean, it does it for you, you know.
Mhm.
What's your writing process like? So this band, your band that you're speaking of, is that who's on like who's backing you up in your recordings, or is it just like, you know, a hired hand for, you know, all those parts that you're trying to produce?
Yeah, so I have had my band play on certain songs. But when it comes to I work with different producers as well. Like I like
Mhm.
to kind of mix it up. So like one producer I've recorded a couple of songs actually in quarantine. So the producer that I've been working with in LA, he plays like every single instrument. So we've been doing it that way. Then also there's like some collaborations that I've done, like co-writes and stuff, like they play on it. So it changes every single time. Um but yeah, it's usually never the same. And my personal band has played on some songs, but not all of them. So yeah, but it changes.
Yeah, cool. I mean, you must miss playing with a band, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you said everybody just home quarantining?
Yeah, exactly. Like I have my drummers in Nashville, my guitar player, he's British, so he actually went back to London. So
Wow.
he's there right now. my bass player's in Nashville. So yeah, we're all just, and I'm here, you know. So we're all apart right now, but I'm excited for when we can all play together again.
Has this time inspired your writing? Like, have you been writing more, or like, are you working on a new project?
Yes, I this time has, you know, I think what everybody, like every creative and songwriter who I've spoken to during this time, it's like the one thing that is really great about this time, well, great, right? Is uh time. It's like we have time now, you know. So, you know, I've had more time to write and to really like reflect and like think and like slow down and you know, so that's been really nice. So I've been writing a lot, and yes, I do have a new project that I'm working on, but I'm going to continue to release everything as a single. So I've recorded, well, like my next song that I'm going to be releasing. It's a Christmas song, and like the power of Zoom. I co-wrote it with my co-writers, and one of them produced it. We wrote, they're in Nashville, I'm in LA. We wrote via Zoom. They produced it in Nashville, sent it back to me. I recorded vocals in LA. I sent it back to them. They mixed it, you know. So it's kind of funny, you know, like cool. Like we created the song via Zoom, via, you know, internet. But yeah, I am gonna be releasing just new songs coming in hot in 2021, a new song every other month. So I'm really excited.
Wow, that's awesome. How exciting.
Yeah, I'm
That's
really excited.
awesome. Yeah, I actually find that I think Zoom works actually really well for co-writing. I love
Yeah.
co-writing. Do you, I mean, how do you feel like do you feel like co-writing made you a better writer?
Yeah, you know, I think that it's helped me, especially with my solo writing. It's helped me kind of come at it at a different angle as well, just because you see how other people, you know, I think that when you watch other people, like I'm a big learner in observing and living life, you know. I'm not very good at reading something and then knowing what to do, you know. So
Yeah.
with co-writing, it's like you watch how other people work, and that just makes you better. So and also the more I've co-written, the more I've become a better co-writer, because I think that, you know, what people, at least what I've learned, is that co-writing in and of itself is a skill. Like I think co-writing and writing solo are two different abilities, because you have to be able to work with other people in a co-write and to hear everybody's ideas and be able to move forward, instead of taking it on all yourself, which I know sometimes that can be hard for people, because we all, I mean, you know, I think we all are like, oh, well, what I have to say is really great, so here, like, listen. But
Yeah.
I think it's important to listen to everybody and to kind of humor an idea for a little bit, and then if it doesn't go the way that we all wanted it to, we can backtrack and go somewhere else, you know. So yeah, but I love both types of writing: co-writing, solo writing, track writing, any type of writing.
I think it's co-writing like requires an artist to let their guard down a little bit, because I think as artists we're like very protective of our thoughts and creativity, you know, and what we want to
Yeah,
project. But it's like almost like learning how to share all over again, you know, with your
it
friends. Like I have a
yes,
4-year-old, you know, like teaching him to share his toys, you know, it kind of
yeah,
requires the same type of like patience and listening and dealing with your feelings, you know. It's funny.
yes.
But
True, it's true.
yeah. Cool. Today's theme, I mean, we're naturally talking about experience, you know, but what experiences have had the most profound impact on your personal and professional life?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, oh man. I guess like, you know, like moving out to LA, like I moved, you know, I went to Nashville and I came out to LA, like, you know, didn't know anybody out here, was in a big city, with like, didn't know anybody, had no music contacts, just kind of came out here on a whim, because I was like, well, Nashville, I think that I'm never going to stick out in Nashville, so I'm going to come to LA. But I think that whole experience, you know, like I would play every open mic, I would try and get any show I could, you know, sometimes playing to nobody, in the audience. And I think what that kind of taught me is like how to have thick skin and, to not be embarrassed. Because I think, sometimes I would have just like people come, and like this was actually recent, somewhat recent, maybe like a year or two ago. I was playing like this festival, and like in Torrance, and I had like a friend come or something, and there was like, I was happy. There's like, as musicians, I'm like, I feel like there was like a lot of people there. People were listening. I was excited. We are playing on a big stage. Then I had somebody come and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, not as much people came," and like, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you've never been to a crappy show then? Like, there's a ton of people here, you know, and it's a festival, so people are going to be eating and drinking and watching and talking and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
like what type of shows to play." But I think, moving to LA and having that experience to kind of, it was a humbling experience to, you know not necessarily like fail, but it's like you have to start from the bottom and work your way up. And that, I think, being a musician teaches you that in such a way that can really, be tampering to your ego, because I'm like, I'm in this like crappy bar playing to one person, but then this playing this show made me meet this person who booked me for this show, then who booked me for that show. So
Yeah.
it all comes together. But I think, just that whole, the whole experience in choosing to do music as a career in general has really kind of just shaped my whole life and my whole um, personality. I think it's made me stronger in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, being a musician has like really taught me the power of connections, like just you and I connecting like this,
Yeah.
but then also like how your music connects you to your listeners, to
Mhm.
the new people that catch on to you, and then also all the connections you have to make business wise, right? And
Exactly.
finding producers and getting those shows booked and getting record deals, or
It is
whatever,
a connecting, like, yeah, I'm like, you can be the best singer in your room, but if you're not out there connecting with people, you're never going to progress. So yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing in this industry is the power of connection, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's everything. It's crazy.
Mhm.
What is one thing about you that surprises most people to come to know, if they come to know it?
Yeah. I don't know if it surprises people, but I mean, maybe it does, because if you don't know, I have dyslexia. So
Okay.
that, and I always get asked like, "Whoa, how is it right? Like being a songwriter and having dyslexia?" Um, I don't, I mean, and it's funny whenever I get asked questions about my dyslexia, like, "Oh, like how do you read?" I'm like, I don't, that's like asking somebody what color is blue to you? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that is how my brain has always seen it. I don't know how to read, like how other people read. So, but yeah, maybe that's something that probably people know about it now, because a quarantine project of mine was to record a dyslexia awareness podcast. But before that, I never talked about it, because um it was something that I was afraid people would, like think I'm stupid or something like that. It was something that I always kind of hid from people. But as I've gotten older through time, it's something that I talk more about to raise awareness for it. So
Sure. I mean, I think that's awesome. And why not? I mean, you're a success story of somebody, who might feel like they might not have success because of that, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Thank
What
you.
could you help me understand like dyslexia a little bit more? Because I really don't know that
Yeah.
much about it, shamefully.
Yes.
You see things backwards, right? Like you read words
So
backwards?
that is actually a myth.
Okay.
That is like, obviously, like when I read, words jumble up, and maybe some people who have dyslexia, they do read like C's backwards. um in my case, because it does affect everybody differently. In my case, like, the biggest thing is comprehension. Like, I don't read chapter books, because it takes me a long time and I lose my place in all that kind of stuff. And also then I forget almost immediately like what I just read. So that is like a big thing. Like, actually, in my podcast, I interview um, three people who have dyslexia: a child psychologist, a special ed teacher, and parents, and all of the people who I interviewed who have dyslexia, what was interesting is like we all connected in that, yeah, it's the comprehension of words that people don't always understand what like that is dyslexia. So yeah, I don't know if if that helps in any way of like what it is, but yeah, like I mean, like right now I could read like Afternoon Cocktail, but if I was given like maybe a paragraph, I probably would mix it up, with like different things. But I probably also wouldn't be able to read something and be like, oh, this is what this question is asking. I have to read it over and over again, and sometimes get somebody to like explain to me what the question
What
is
is
even.
meant?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I always just heard like that dyslexic people like read things backwards, and I feel like I just
I
ran with
know.
that.
And it's funny.
So
That's
ignorant.
that's always that's always like something. That's why like I wanted to do the podcast, because if and like I'm not gonna say that that doesn't happen. Again, I don't know. Like sometimes like the way that I see
Probably
words.
different cases, right?
Exactly. And also
Yeah,
too, it's like what I wanted to kind of like make aware. It's like I just know how to read the way a dyslexic person knows how to read. I don't know what it's like how somebody without dyslexia knows how to read, because I don't know, you know what I mean? So it's like maybe it does jumble, but for me that's normal. And for me, maybe I don't notice that it's jumbling, you know? So
yeah.
yeah, but it's interesting.
So on your podcast, can you tell us a little bit about it? So are you like interviewing different people, or you just have like a panel and you guys are just
Yeah.
talking? Is there like
Yeah.
themes every time?
So kind of. So it's an 8 episode podcast series. It's called Determined to Dream. And I have kind of, I guess, like 3 different, or maybe like 4 different like brackets. I have like dyslexia experiences, where I interview different people and basically just have them share their story and experiences with dyslexia. So I interview people with dyslexia. I also interviewed a child psychologist, because he was, or child psychologists and special ed teachers are involved in the testing process of um, diagnosing learning disabilities. So I talked to him, to a child psychologist, kind of about that. And then I also talked to a special ed teacher about, because when you have a learning disability in school, you have this thing called an IEP, which it gives you, it's like a governmental document that basically gives you like each person has a different, it says something different in their IEP for their learning, for their specific learning disability. But it like, for in my case, I was able to get more time on tests. I was able to have somebody read to me. Um, and yeah, so like just like different accommodations. And then I interviewed both of my parents, because a child's involved, or a parent's involvement in kids who have a learning disability is so important in diagnosing a learning disability and kind of helping kids, the kids with school and with everything, and just with um like self-esteem, because your self-esteem is something that gets really messed up when you have a learning disability. So I talked to my parents and their experience in discovering I had a learning disability, and then what they did, and also how maybe it affected their own ego in a way, because every parent has dreams for their kids, and then to know that, oh, like maybe it could look a little different. So yeah, but mainly conversations with
Yeah.
each.
That sounds awesome. So do you feel like the show has been therapeutic for you in a way?
Definitely. It's been very therapeutic. And I've actually written some songs like during this time, because it also made me like relive some painful memories,
Sure.
growing up. So, but it's definitely been therapeutic. I think the biggest thing that was very therapeutic to me was talking to the different people who also struggle with dyslexia, and to kind of feel validated in my struggles, because we all were like, oh wow, okay, I'm not crazy, this happens to you too, so that was very therapeutic too, because like the biggest struggle with dyslexia is that it's invisible, like nobody would know, like until I was like in a classroom. But even then they're like, are you just slow, are you just dumb, you know what I mean, like things like that. So it was very therapeutic talking to other people who also struggle with dyslexia to also not only hear like their like how they struggle with dyslexia, but then also how their self-esteem was affected. So yeah.
Sure. Do you feel like being dyslexic has gotten in the way at all, like with your co-writing? Like, have you ever had, an encounter with it as you're writing with other artists?
That's a good question. And yeah, actually, like, I mean, simple things just like getting into a Google Doc and they're like, oh yeah, we wrote down like the chorus is right there. And I'm like, uh, where? Like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Just like things like that, where it just like, it slows you down and then maybe too sometimes like again like comprehension is a big thing, so sometimes like even like spoken comprehension, like somebody can tell me something and I'm like, wait, what? Like, so definitely. But and then it's like I never want to talk about it, like share about it, like when I'm in a situation where I can tell like, okay, this situation is being affected by my dyslexia right now, but I never want to like be like, sorry, like I'm dyslexic, so this like that's why I'm like slower right now or something, because I'm just like, I don't know. It's just like one of those things that I'm like, oh, I don't want to like
Open a can
blame
of
something.
worms. Yeah.
Yeah, or make it worse. Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely. I could definitely see like there have definitely been times where that happens, but that happens kind of daily too. Like, just like little things like I was talking to somebody like, have you ever been like bullied because of your learning disability? And I'm like, not like in a way that you would think, but like just I like a coping mechanism of mine was to just make fun of myself because I was so afraid of people thinking I was dumb that I was like, I'm just gonna make fun of myself before they can. And like this was a stupid example, but like I went to a movie with one of my friends and we got tickets ourselves like in one of the machines, and I got tickets to like the wrong movie, and they're like, what? How did you do that? And I'm like, oh, like yeah, it's because of my dyslexia. But so it's just like little things like that can also just like affect your self-esteem, because I'm like, I don't always want to be like the goofy, ditzy girl, but like that's kind of how I've made myself out to my friends sometimes, because I'm like making up for my dyslexia. Yeah, so it is interesting how it affects just like everything.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I could see how that would affect you like on the daily. You don't want people to label you as a dumb blonde, basically, right?
Exactly.
But you
Yeah,
feel like you have
exactly.
to play it up, because
Yes.
like, but you're obviously not a dumb blonde. Like, I mean, for girl, like for the things you do, like
No,
I
but I
hope,
no,
yeah,
totally no. Like that's exactly, and like with my friends, and it's fun. Like some good things that have come from dyslexia is I think like my work ethic and my personality, like, and also like I decided to do music, and instead of going to college, and maybe if college and school would have come easy to me, maybe I would have just gone to college and become something else, because like I wouldn't have had the confidence in music, because music is where I got my confidence growing up.
yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
So I have to ask you this. It's kind of a silly question, but your latest single is Palm Reader. Palm
Hmm.
Reader. So
Hmm.
if a palm reader were to give you the ultimate reading of your future, what would
Ooh.
that future look like to you?
Like what? Oh man. Man, just like playing a lot more shows and being able to have like the opportunities that I've been able to. And then, like my whole song Palm Reader was like the idea of like asking a palm reader like, who is my true love. And I think that would be really cool to like know who I was going to end up with, so then I could just like stop looking and be like, you're not the person, I know who it is, I'm gonna keep on going. But yeah, just like little things like that, I think, to make you not worry like about, like if somebody were to tell me like, when I first moved to LA, what I would have been able to accomplish in my time here now, up to this point, I think I would have not worried as much and not been as like stressed. So I think it would be cool just to kind of like know that maybe some of my goals were met. So then I would just be like, it's okay. Like, you're going to get there. What you're doing, like, you're doing enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be cool. And maybe winning the lottery. Like, if the palm reader was like, hey, you're going to win the lottery one day, you don't have to worry about it. Everything will be great. Okay.
Yeah, don't you wish that would happen? But then you got to pay back all those taxes, right? So,
That's true, right? But I think even cut with taxes, I'd still be happy with the amount.
yeah, I'd still be a lot richer than I am now.
I,
What is one thing? I mean, what is one thing you'd really like a message you'd really like to get across to your fans?
Man, that's a good question. I think just like do what you love. I am so grateful that I am doing what I love, as a musician. And I'm just grateful that I decided to do it. So I think that you should just do what you love, whatever that may be, and it'll be hard, but stick with it and you will achieve more than you think, and you'll get places that you never thought you could go. So, yeah, I don't know.
So awesome, Christy. It's been like such a pleasure again to know you and to talk to you like this.
Thank
Can't
you.
again thank you enough for giving us your time today.
No,
So
thank you so much for having me. Like, you're so fun and sweet to talk to. So,
thank you. Well, thanks. So did you want to close us out with one of your songs?
yes, I'm gonna close out with my current single, Palm Reader. So,
Perfect.
mirror, mirror on the wall, how do I get through it all? How do I get through the heartbreak? The crystal ball told us so that someday love would find our home. But when I'm with you, someday doesn't seem so far away. No, is it hopeless being a romantic? 'Cause I'm so hopeless dreaming about your smile. If I was a palm reader, baby, then I could tell you your future. I'd say you were strong, would live a good life, and one day you might find a wife, but I'm not bet on what I could tell you your future. I'd say you were strong, will live a good life, and one day you might find a wife. But I'm not a palm reader, but I know I'm your future. Oh, I know I'm your future. Oh, I know I'm your future.
Yay, Christy, you're amazing. Thank you for
Thank
filling
you.
our ears with such beautiful music this afternoon. Where can our audience be directed to you? Where could they find your music and download all your songs?
Yes, you guys can find me. I'm everywhere you listen to music: Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Title, anywhere. But you guys can go to my website, which is christyhuff.com, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and that's just Christy Huff Music. So thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, super fun. It's an honor to have you. Good luck and keep killing it. I love it.
Thank you.
I'll keep looking forward to more music from you.
Yes,
So
thank
I'm just going to leave everybody off with my thoughts on experience because this is my favorite topic, by the way, because to me, I always think every day how much my experiences have shaped me, and how they continue to shape me. To me, it's everything. Raising a young child often has me recollecting my memories of my past experiences that I believe have left an everlasting imprint on my heart. What has moved me, what has changed me, what lessons I was able to gain from those darker times, grief, and the impact hurt has had on my trust. Collectively, all of it has contributed to how cautiously I proceeded in life thereafter. We experience something new every day. Experiences are built in those conversations we had, the new people we meet, the new things we're introduced to, the places we travel, the food that we taste, the adventures we set forth on, the challenges we face and overcome, the new information we acquire. They are the moments that break us, that strengthen us, that inspire us, and what influences our behavior and overall general demeanor. It's what we choose to give back to the ones we love and what we deem important to share. In my opinion, we can never experience enough because the more we learn, the more we know, and the better we come to understand ourselves. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed our show. Big cheers again to Christy Huff. Make sure you go download all her songs. You won't regret it. And Afternoon Cocktail is now available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, all the podcast networks. Please download our prior episodes and keep spreading good energy. I hope to see you guys back here this Wednesday. Have a great Monday.